People always talk about values, but it
Always.
feels like it's something we come up with, put it on a wall, and then just never think about again. And we want to press all of our leaders and ourselves to take serious, like, these are the values. Now, an easy way to think about culture is just the things that are honored and the things that are shamed. Hey, what's up, family? Welcome to another episode of the Futures Here podcast, where we talk about everything you need to lead this next generation. I'm Tommy Nixon. Of course, I'm here with my illustrious co-host, Robert Aboides.
What's up, family?
Today, we're going to be talking about, we actually have, it's a three-part series.
This is going to be a three-part series to finish off our season.
It's fun. Three-part series. We're going to be talking about something that I know for Robert and I, this comes up all the time. It's like
Always.
It's whenever we see problems or we're looking at an institution, an enterprise, a business, a church, or whatever it is, we're always like, ooh, that's it. There's the problem right there. And most leaders I know, especially in the Christian world, right, in the faith-based space, they don't think about this at all.
No.
Really, it's like it's
There's
not
no
even
intentionality.
on their mind.
There's no intentionality
none.
behind it whatsoever.
I remember I asked a mentor once, I said, hey, talk to me about this. And they said, I don't know. I don't even think about that. And what this is culture.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking in a three-part series on building healthy organizational culture. Culture is, there's a quote that says, I think it's culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Yeah. John Maxwell.
Is that John Maxwell?
Yeah, John Maxwell says
there you go. Thanks, John. And so we're going to be talking about today because we think this is actually one of the most important things that you can do and focus on.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, the thing about it is that we have to understand, and Tommy, we tell our leaders this all the time, that you don't really get a choice on whether you build culture or not. Because if you're not intentional about building culture, it's going to get built for you.
Yeah, it's always there, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to get built for you, and it's not going to get built by the people necessarily that you want to help you build it. It's usually the people who are the loudest or the most, let's just say it, the ones who complain the most, right, in an organization, the squeaky wheels, they're the ones who set the culture if the leader's not setting the culture. And what happens is when that kind of culture starts to evolve, your time as a leader is spent squashing it most of the time.
Yeah, you spend a lot of energy like dealing with the effects of a toxic culture or an unhealthy culture.
Yeah, for sure. So what we want to talk about in this three-part series are three things. We'll just give you the preview now, but you're going to want to stick around for all three episodes here. We're going to talk about values. That's today. We're going to talk about structures. And if you don't know what that is, stick around. And then we're going to talk about relationships and the role that each of those plays in building a healthy culture.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Before we continue, if you like the show and want to continue to support us, the free and simple way to do that is to simply subscribe. And so we'll do our best to continue to create content to help you in your leadership.
So for us, Tommy, and you kind of take the lead on this, and you've done this for the organizations that you built and even bring it into this one, the starting point, values.
Right. And so the values are the core, which is, it's always ironic to me that values, whenever you go to a church or a nonprofit or a business, like there's always, like, people always talk about values, but it feels like it's something we come up with, put it on a wall, and then just never think about again. And we want to press all of our leaders and ourselves to take serious, like, these are the values. Now, when we say culture, an easy way to think about culture is just what is in any context. It's the things that are honored and the things that are shamed. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, when I say shamed, I don't mean that therefore we go around to create culture. We just go around shaming people, but there is like honoring what we honor and whatever we shame. That plays out in a lot of different ways. The way you joke, the way your policy's built, the way the attitude you give towards things. Yeah. Like, so for instance, if you continue to show up late to things, there's a value here where, because we're an urban organization, there's like there's a place where we have like a small amount of grace, right?
Yeah.
However, when you go beyond that, there's a shaming there where it's like, oh, let's just all wait. and we'll wait for you to show up. So we all had to wait for you to show up, right? And there's a place there where it's felt.
Yeah.
And then it's brought up, and then it's talked about, and then it's brought to your PDP, right? Your performance development plan. Like, there are structures, we'll get into that next time, that we do to create that. Now, the values of that, there's a value behind that. And this is where it goes wrong, is a lot of times you don't think about what's the actual value from the structures and the ways that we create the culture. We don't think about what the actual value is behind that.
Right.
Because the value could be, look, I'm irritated and I don't like when I feel disrespected. So is the culture that you just don't want to disrespect the leader? Or is the culture that we value everyone's time here? And therefore, so the values are actually really, really important to understand. Why do we behave and create the culture that we create?
Yeah, and I think what's really important to understand, and this is especially for leaders who actually do care about this and want to set a proper culture. So hear me out, leaders, especially you young leaders, is that there are two sets of values at play always. There are the stated values and there are the underlying values.
Yeah.
Now, the stated values are usually what people think about, right? When they look at the company handbook or the posters on the wall.
With the eagle.
Or on the website. Yeah. You know, we're like, oh, these are our values, and you have 3 or 5. I've seen as many as 12 values, which is a lot. But you state these values on your website, like you publicly use them, right? And we use words, Tommy, like integrity, excellence, collaboration, and innovation. Now, what do you think about when you walk into an organization and you see, or a church even, and those are their values? They go, oh, these are our values. What's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
Well, it feels like now that we have AI, it feels like they just typed it into AI and it came up with a bunch of things that you're supposed to have.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. It's like, oh, we're supposed to say we have these things. But
Right.
I'm like, I normally think, you didn't really think through this.
Yeah, and if you look at the organization, you're like, innovative. Really? Innovation is your value?
Yeah, you're doing the same thing you've always done.
You're doing the same thing everybody does. Like, you look the same. It's a cookie cutter. That's not innovative. So now, please hear us, leaders, because there's nothing wrong with these. In fact, we always recommend you have stated values, because these are the espoused values, and they matter because these things actually give language to who you really want to be. And that's the truth of it, is when we see those values, we're like, oh, this is what they want to become. I get that. But the issue is that there are underlying values at play often that most leaders forget. And these are the values that actually is not the ones that people read on the wall. It's the ones that people discover through experience with your organization,
right,
or within your organization, right? And every organization teaches these values, these underlying beliefs through subtle moments, right? Subtle interactions that you have within the organization. So we've worked with a lot of orgs, Tommy, nonprofit orgs especially, and a lot of the challenges they have, the minute we get into because we do site visits for a lot of them, the minute we go into the organization, you could sense the kind of culture that's there.
Oh, it's it's like palpable.
It's palpable.
You walk in and the way people, the way they say hello to you, what you experience when you walk into the context, like you can start to piece together, oh, I wonder why that's like that.
Yeah.
It's the same way you could think about it when you go into a family party. Have you ever been with somebody else's family and you're like, wow, that's how they do that? Okay, that's cool. It's a culture, that's there. So
we had here, I'll tell you a quick story, Tommy. I think I've shared this before, but we had an experience, Len and I was on our staff, and we like to use different churches in different cities to run our programs because we want to be connected to the city, we want to be connected to the community. And there's a difference between how you're received in one place and another. I won't say where it was, but we were being hosted by a church, and we met their lead pastor, and both Len and I, after meeting them, left feeling like, wow, that was like almost automated and robotic welcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you could tell that there was a sense of like oh, I'm doing this, but I don't really care. I don't even really know what you do. And so, hey, yeah, welcome. We felt immediately like, oh man, if that's how you're treating an outsider, who's here to help train your people and to be like, how are you then treating your staff? And the more we began to understand about that organization, the more we realized, oh yeah, this is the culture that person is building.
No, that's it. I mean, and these are the things, what we want you to do, especially with the underlying value, you want to look to see where's the connection between the stated values and the underlying values? Yeah. Like, how do they actually connect? And what are the actual true values of the space that you're leading or that you're working in? And so a lot of these values, like I said, I like that we did talk about, they're these subtle things. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times we acquiesce really quickly because that's our human nature. So our responses like to, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, a lot of times we're just like, oh, I want to be a part of this, or I'm a part of this organization. I need to survive. Therefore, okay, so I never make a joke like that to the leader because they're sensitive about that. Or I never do this, or this is how, and so that's how you have people acquiesce to that culture because they want to survive in it or they want to belong. And so we as leaders have to go, man, we have to be introspective, not only to ourselves, but to the organization and really look, what are the actual values that we're living here? And it's tough. And that's why you need, when you start to build a healthy organization, when you have feedback loops, you can ask people.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to be, as a leader, you don't want to be, I don't know what the word is, disconnected or like, what's the word when you're naive about what's going on really, right?
Right.
Like, you don't want to be a leader who's like, yeah, we have a great culture here. It's awesome. Like, people thrive and blah, blah. And then you look and you go,
I've literally had that conversation.
Not really.
several times where the leader, because now I forget what the percentage is, but one easy way to look at it is the leader is like, it's like double for them. Mm-hmm. So their input onto the culture, it's double for the leader. Right. So that's normally why they're just living life. They're not thinking about it. They're not thinking about their people. They're not thinking about the values that they have and how that actually plays out and gets experienced. And so because it's double for the leader, that's why it's on you to figure that out. Yeah. And you have to, if you don't understand it, everybody's living in your world, right?
Right.
And when those espoused values, right, when the things that we say and the underlying beliefs say something different, that's where the culture gets confusing. So that will cause things like silent groaning. It'll, where everybody's getting together.
Everybody stops talking when you enter the room, though.
Right. Hesitation. People aren't sure, like, how to interact. How do they win? Uncertain in decision making, right? And we've seen that a lot. Like, if these aren't clear, then it's all on the leader, and that's a vicious cycle because then the leader's like, "Oh, I got to do everything myself."
Yeah, like not realizing you're the one creating that culture,
created the fact that you have to do everything yourself. Like, you built that yourself. That's on you. And frustration with people. You'll have a lot of turnover. You'll have, it gets really bad. In fact, get to a place where, thousands of people will be okay with abuse as long as the success metrics are being written. So that's how you have that. And then you have it, on large scales when you look at, you've seen whole countries do this.
Right.
Right? You think about, I love history. I'm always listening to historical podcasts. And, when you think about World War II and you think about the Nazi movement in Germany, like, how do you have a whole country that's okay with this? Well, that's a culture thing.
Yeah. So it's absolutely a culture thing. And I think the most important thing for leaders to understand about the play between stated values and underlying beliefs is that underlying beliefs will always overpower your espoused values.
Yeah.
Always.
So that's why you have to be really aware of them.
And that's really what John Maxwell meant when he said culture eats strategy for breakfast. Yeah. Because you can do all of the great strategic things, but that underlying culture will eat away at that strategy if it's not aligned with your espoused values.
So here's the reality too, is that those underlying beliefs will always overpower those espoused values, right? Like the things you have on the wall, the actually lived out beliefs and values will always
Yeah.
trump that. And so you cannot talk your way into culture.
No matter how hard you try.
You can fool yourself into believing that's the culture you have.
Yeah.
But you can only behave your way into one.
Yeah. And that's what you were saying earlier, right?
Yeah.
The leader's behavior weighs double.
It does. Yeah.
So we have to be really careful about that.
So then, Robert, how do we actually learn culture?
Yeah, let's talk about that. How do the people in your organization actually learn the culture? Because a lot of times when you bring a new person in, they're like a clean slate.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can shape and mold them into whatever really the kind of person that you want them to become or that you want them to be for your organization. But the reality is that if you don't do anything intentionally, they'll just mold themselves right into the culture that already exists, right? Because it's not through like training memos and mission statements. Like that's not how they're going to feel culture. They're going to actually study the behavior of their leader, and they're going to study it quietly and consistently. They're going to register all of these little things that the leader's saying. They're going to see how other people respond to that leader. They're going to hear the silent groanings if they're there, right? They're going to hear the frustration in the voice of their peers, and they're going to immediately, guess who they're going to side with? Not necessarily the leader. I mean, they may at first because you hired them.
Yeah.
But eventually they'll be like, oh, well, nobody else is getting fired. So
right.
Maybe it's okay for me to groan and complain and, fall into that kind of culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And so people pay a lot of attention to how you treat the employee who made a mistake. Like, oh, wow, is there grace there? Is there training there? Is there what's the structures and the things set in place on how the value and the culture of the organization deals that? And that moment teaches them what failure means in your world. So really clearly, this is where language does come in. You have to match both the language and the behavior. Here, one of the things we have culturally here at UYWI is it's okay to take risks and fail.
Yeah.
That's actually encouraged. Now, there's processes and structures on how to do that well. What's not tolerated here is to make the same mistake. If you don't learn from the failure, that was a waste. That's a cultural thing here that we just are like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But you're encouraged to go and fail as long as we learn from it. That's fine. If you fail, that's okay. So people have seen that, and that's given them a lot of opportunity then to give ideas, and another culture thing here is like best idea wins. Doesn't matter who comes up with it. Like we want to take that, right? So
and it doesn't mean that if you fail the same way twice or do the same thing over and fail again, that we get mean about it.
No.
It just means that we have a deeper conversation so that it doesn't happen a third time. Like, hey, wait. I thought we talked about this. What didn't we learn?
Why didn't we learn that?
Why didn't we learn that? Why are we doing this again? And then I think people will begin to realize.
You can hear in the language too, as you say, why did we?
Yeah.
And that's another cultural thing here. It's like it's a team effort. Like what did we do wrong? And I look at, hey, was I not clear about that? What structures aren't working well? Like how? So it's not a blame culture.
Yeah.
Right. It's a let's build something together culture.
Yeah.
So.
Here's the other thing people pay attention to, Tommy, is they want to know how a leader responds when a deadline slips. Because that moment will tell them whether the leader cares more about the performance or the person or their product or the person, right? Now, here's the thing about this. This is a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it is.
Because if you come down hard as soon as a deadline slips, you're a tyrant. Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, we can't fail. We can't miss a deadline. And so your employees will do everything, including compromise integrity, to meet that deadline. But the other side of that sword is just as bad, which is, oh, it's all right. It's no big deal. It's cool. Like, hey, no problem. That creates a culture of, I don't know, let me just call it laziness.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's no big deal. The dates are just suggestions. They're not actually firm.
Yeah.
Right? And so if a leader is constantly being okay with missing deadlines, like, okay, don't worry. Yeah, we'll get to it. The culture is going to be that you're never really going to get much done, or you're always just going to settle for, oh, okay, well, it didn't get done. Let's just move on. And I've seen that happen a lot. Like we didn't meet the deadline and complete the project, but we just move on from it because we got to get on to the next thing.
Absolutely.
So neither of those are really healthy.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's a number of these, Robert. Like you know, people notice whether you celebrate the loudest person in the room or the person who actually moves the mission forward, right? It teaches them what your organization really values. They notice whether honesty is punished or protected.
That's a big one,
right? That teaches them whether they can speak with integrity or whether they need to manage their image, which is huge, right? And what we want you to take away from that is that you're always shaping the culture all the time, with each interaction, and that can feel burdensome. But when you live in integrity and out of who you're created to be, and you continue to be honest about that, there's ways to do this where that actually, your journey in that as a leader actually builds the culture.
Well, this is why, Tommy, your whole push on values-based leadership, it's not just yours, but I mean, it's ours. But it's so important because it's not like we're a leader on the outside trying to match a value to a behavior for somebody else.
You want to embody it.
You want to embody it.
Yeah.
Right? And so yes, it is still difficult and it's a lot, but it becomes easier if your behavior is coming from a value based as opposed to which one is this? How do I match it? And you're thinking about the value as an external thing. To
a performance based. So so this is the difference between what we're trying to help people be. When we talk about to help you be the leader that God created you to be, we're talking about a holistic approach to you as a person becoming who we believe God created you to be and who you were created to be. That we're talking about you growing. Now that's a different path than you just you're here to do a job and and it's a performance based. And so eventually without that other piece to it, which for us is Christ and the sanctification process. Yeah, I understand why businesses do the things they do, why, you know what I mean? And the only thing that's stopping them from doing something else is the legalities of it. And for many people, that doesn't stop them either. But we're talking about something totally different. And so another area of this is something about value gaps, right? And it's a trap that every organization falls into. Yeah. And so walk us through, what is the value gaps that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in most organizations, but especially in unhealthy ones though, there's a gap between, and we've been talking about this a little bit, between the espoused values, the stated values, and the underlying beliefs. And there's a reason for this that I think is really important for us to understand why that gap exists. The first thing is that people usually, and we said this earlier, people usually announce the values or set their values based on aspiration, not reality, right? Innovation, we talked about excellence, right? All of these things that they sound great, but are they real? Are they really a tangible thing, right? So leaders are always declaring who they want to be and who they want their organization to be. The problem is, rarely do we see leaders are willing to do the hard work to implement those values consistently. Yeah. And because they think that just saying them and having them, it's going to be okay, right? People will get it. People will get it if we just keep saying it. But the problem is, again, the gap is if you keep saying it, but you're not doing it, then people are going to be very, very confused.
Yeah, and they will. So when we talk about structure, we'll talk about next time, it's a path of least resistance. People will go the way that the structure's made, right? And if you're not aware of it, it's like that footpath. You ever in a park and there's a clear concrete pathway, but then you see maybe a pathway's going this way and another one's going this way, and then there's a dirt path through the grass that people took to take that shortcut. Once somebody does it, then somebody else goes. Then you just keep on. And then all of a sudden, that's the path. It's the path of least resistance. So if you're not aware of that, that's what happens. And one of the ways that happens is pressure exposes those priorities. Yeah. When there's pressure, that's when people they go to that path of least resistance. They're like, I'm going to take the shortcut, right? And so it's easy to say you value rest until a major deadline hits. Right? It's easy to say you value collaboration until the team disagrees with your direction. It's easy to say you value empowerment until someone does something differently than you would have done it. And that's where when the pressure's on, the value conversation comes out. We're doing this right now. We've taken a different turn in our strategy, and we're having conversations about, we need to, have this be at this price, but then the conversation is, it's not about making money.
Yeah.
It's about sustainability. So we go, where's a good value set to where we know our leaders can handle this, but our value is them. Can they handle it? But if we're not sustainable, we're not going to be around to even serve them.
Yeah.
It has to be about that. That's the value conversation, not, well, how much can we charge? Do you see the difference? Yeah.
And it actually goes deeper than that, because I think in that conversation, our value is stewardship, right? Good stewardship means not that you just give everything away for free, but that you actually set a price point that, again, will create sustainability, but is also reasonable. And that's sometimes really difficult, especially for our audience, right? We're really struggling to find what's that balance between those two things.
Yeah.
The third thing is that leaders just really, I think you underestimate how closely people are watching. My wife and I, in our marriage program and our marriage mentoring that we do, one of the things we always tell them is like, hey, your kids are always watching.
Yeah.
And they're learning from what you're doing. You can say, clean your room as much as you want, but if they never see you cleaning, guess what? Is not going to happen, right?
Absolutely.
So we had a conversation with a couple last night, and we were talking about this very thing about cleaning your room. And our experience, because we've raised 3 boys and they're all grown and have their own homes, our experience has been that they never cleaned their room when they were younger. We often did it for them occasionally, but we were trying to teach them the value of it, through language, but also through action, right? Serving them. What we find is that all of our kids now are really good about keeping their homes tidy and clean. So they learn the value by watching us, right? And I want to mention something. You mentioned earlier shaming, right?
Yeah.
When your kid's room looks like a wreck, and for 3 weeks you've been saying, hey, can you please clean your room? And they don't. And then you go in after 3 weeks and make it spotless. Guess what? They feel a little bit of shame.
Yeah.
Dang, my mom had to do it, or my dad. Oh, they ended up having to because I didn't do it. And then, they might get better at it, but ultimately they're going to remember that. And they're going to be like, oh, I can't do this. So even though we're not shaming them directly, they feel a sense of like, oh, I was disobedient, I didn't listen, or oh, I should have done it. Like all this stuff, right?
Or just, natural consequences of like, I can't find this thing.
Right.
Well, if your room was clean, there's things where they experience that. And those are the structures that go, well.
So the point is, your people are always watching as well, just like in parenting, right? And so don't underestimate how much weight even a single decision carries, right? And how quickly your inconsistency as a leader begins to cause the culture drift.
That's it. Number 4, for this is like leaders forget that culture requires maintenance. It's a constant thing. And I know that's what makes it difficult, right? So we always say values are the guardrails that take you from the mission is the vehicle that you're in, the vision is the destination, and what keeps you on the road is the guardrails. Yeah. And so they weaken if you don't reinforce them, if you don't adhere to them, right? If you're going off road and you're going all over the place,
constantly bumping into them.
So those few small inconsistencies start to create new norms. And before long, you have a different path. You're on a different path towards, that vision, or you don't even get to that vision because you're going somewhere else.
Or it's just a lot harder to get there.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so again, here's the thing, underestimating all of these little patterns and stuff will help you as a leader to avoid creating these gaps in your value system. So let's talk about, Tommy, where values are most visible, right? Because I think the conversations we've had with, especially our nonprofit leaders who are leading their organizations, I think when we start asking about their values, and then we look at their programs, and then we look at their organizational setup, I'm like, wait, how does this value work? How does it live out here? And most leaders don't really understand how to operationalize values. Like they don't know, well, wait, where is this supposed to show up? Is it just supposed to show up in how we serve people? Are we supposed to just smile and make everybody feel comfortable outside the organization, but inside we're not? So they treat values like inspirational statements rather than operational guidelines. And that's where the difficulty for leaders and values comes in, because it can't just be something that you believe in theory. It has to be something that you reinforce on a regular basis in practice. Right? Because the truth is that our values, if they're not actionable, then what good are they?
Right. It's kind of like that ethereal, like, oh no, yeah, we have integrity. Well,
Yeah.
okay. And then you point out where there is no integrity in something, or you're not teaching that, or it doesn't flow throughout your whole organization. Then it's not one of your values. Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Well, don't get rid of integrity, but you understand what I'm saying. So yeah, it has to be directly actionable. And so values become visible in very specific places, right? Those values need to show up like when you're hiring and you're onboarding, when you're decision making, when communication, accountability, recognition, conflict resolution. Like you actually have to think through, how does this play through in actionable ways throughout the entire org? And so these are the kind of the pressure points of your culture, and they are the moments where your team learns what you actually believe. And can I just you might be overwhelmed at this point. This takes time.
Yeah.
Culture building, especially when coming into an organization, a lot of times it says it takes about 7 years to turn, an organizational culture towards something else, to change it.
Yeah.
It takes time. So give yourself some kindness, be kind to yourself, take some time.
Which is why it's so important to have a rhythm too,
Yes.
right? A rhythm of culture, because a culture is shaped by what you repeat, not just what you say and what you announce, right? So the rhythm is what helps keep your values visible, and especially in moments of stress, those rhythms can be really helpful. Otherwise, your values are just background noise, right? And they kind of get thrown away at the very first sign of danger and pressure. And so you need rhythms that reinforce your values until those values become something that is kind of just a normal way that your operation,
This
that your
is how we
organization
do it.
behaves. This
Yeah.
is how we do it, right? So what are we talking about, Tommy? We're talking about what kinds of rhythms are where we actually practice and enforce these values.
Yeah. So, and next episode, we're going to talk about something called structures, which we'll get into that. But some of the rhythms that we look at: weekly team meetings, staff meetings. When do you gather? Is that a consistent time? Program project meetings, leadership check-ins, decision-making frameworks. Like, how do we make decisions? So, for you guys, Robert developed something really cool here. And while we were trying to figure out our strategy and where we're going to move forward to, he came up with a whole ideation process. In the ideation process, there's a rubric on how you score the idea.
Yeah.
And that's how we, in consensus, would come up with decisions. It wasn't just like, hey, how you feeling about that? It was like, we all took a score of this thing and we go, it's not a good idea. And so there were ways to do that, right? So decision-making framework, strategic planning. Are we all on the same page? Do we understand this? Allowing the culture piece to people go, wait, why are we doing that? That doesn't seem like that fits. I thought we were about this. I love those kind of conversations. Performance reviews, regular feedback loops. These are all ways where you start to think about how do you build in the culture. So first you have to have the values. Then you have to have the actionable steps on how you play that out through all of these, structures and ways that the organization works. And so it's really important.
Well, let's talk about why all this matters, Tommy.
Yeah.
Why do we have to have values that line up with our underlying assumptions or underlying values, right? Because here's the thing, something really powerful happens when there's alignment between these two things, right? People begin to trust you as a leader. They begin to trust the organization, and that trust forms the foundation of every healthy culture we've ever seen.
Yeah. Let me take this back to why this is so important. So we talked a little bit about this is really about you're creating an enterprise or a culture. You're creating something that has a culture where, remember, our core leadership belief, this is what we hope you take on, is that you're there as a leader to help those around you become who they are created to be. I always say you can't lead people you haven't been. So if you're not on the path of becoming who you're created to be, from a set of personal values that you have, and then as you lead into an organization or a church, whatever it is, and you're living out those values, it is literally a process of, in theological terms, sanctification. It's a process of growth. It's an evolution of you becoming more who you're created to be. That's played out through the organization, whether you're aware of it or not. Mm-hmm. So if you're not growing, if you're unhealthy, if you're toxic, that's the culture you're going to have.
Yeah.
So if you come back to the core of it, you're becoming who you're created to be. by helping other people become who they are created to be, by creating a vehicle that has certain values towards a destination, right? Towards that vision, right? And this is the mission, the vehicle that you're taking, the guide rails of those values.
That's good.
That's why all this matters, because what you really want to happen in the world, which is to change the world, your people start growing faster, right? Teams collaborate more naturally. Hard conversations become easier. Decisions get clearer. Conflicts get healthier. And the environment becomes a place where people look forward to contributing. When that happens, okay, so imagine if a church was like that. And then imagine if all churches were like that.
Yeah.
What would this world look like? If all the nonprofits if all the businesses if all the government, positions and institutions were built like that, that'd be a wonderful place to live, wouldn't it? No, the reality of our fallen world is it's not. And that's why we need the resistance and the revolution is us doing this kind of work. Now, for us, we would say you can't do that apart from Christ. That's why our movement's so important. So why this matters is...
It's funny, as you were sharing these, about growing faster, collaborating more naturally, the thing that came to mind to biblicize this, right, was the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Our fruit of the Spirit is, right, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, etc. But the fruit of the Spirit of your culture is that. Growth, collaboration, hard conversations that are easier to do, right? Better decisions, better conflict, and just this environment where everybody wants to be part of it. That's the fruit of the Spirit of your culture.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, and I don't know anybody who would look at that and go, oh yeah, I don't want that.
No, I know people
I prefer production, heavy production.
I do know people that look at it and go, that's too hard.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And we're telling you, here's what we're trying to tell you. You will get there better, faster, with less bodies behind, left behind. Like you will, this is a better way to do it. And you'll become the gift that you're created to be. And while doing that for other people, I just think it makes a better world.
The car ride together is just more fun that way.
Oh my gosh. I don't know why you'd want to do it any other way. Yeah, and it's evident, right? At the end of the day, for us, we know that more young people will be reached with the gospel.
Yeah.
Because we have better institutions that are led better, that are reaching what they're trying to do in a better way and more healthy. I mean, that's why all this matters. And so we hope that people will take this to heart.
Yeah. So just remember, just to close us off here, building this kind of culture requires intentionality. It's not just, you can't hype your way into culture. Yeah. It has to be intentional, has to be operationalized. We have to create these habits, these values that become habits that then become culture. And so we've been kind of alluding to structures a lot. And so in our next episode, we're going to talk about what structures are and the importance of building those. But values, just here say this, values shape the foundation. And structure is going to actually help you shape the behavior. So tune in to that.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys on the next episode of a 3-part series, right? On building culture, building a healthy culture. And thanks for joining us. Make sure that you would like, subscribe, share it. Who needs to hear this? What leader do you know that needs to think about building a healthy culture, right? And you can send it to them without there's no shame in that. You're not saying you don't have a healthy culture. You're saying, hey, you can continue to create one, right? Now, there are some leaders out there that probably just need it because they're whack. But anyway, but check that out, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.